Yes. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another live conversation with Macro Polo. As some of you may or may not know, I'm Damien, and I run the Macro Polo think tank here at the Paulson Institute. I'm coming in live from Chicago, and we've got Sophia Faragalli coming in live from Rome, all the way from Rome. I know it looks like we're kind of in the same room because of the way things divided up, but she's actually several thousand
No.
miles away. Exactly. Several thousand miles away. But we're here to talk about our upcoming show that we created called Coffee and World. We're going to get into that very soon over the next 10 or 15 minutes. But we wanted to first introduce Sophia too, and why? I mean, obviously she's Italian, so the secret is out. But
Yeah.
Sophia, I know, you know, you've worked a lot already in sort of the China space. But I think it'd be good if we just learn a little bit about your background too, where you came. I think Yanching Academy is one of that, right?
Yeah, precisely. I think that's when my passion for China really got like a possibility to express itself. I was selected for the Yanching Academy, which is a great program that allows students that have interest in China or know China better, that maybe like did some Chinese studies before, to move there and study in China for a year and like tackle China from different perspective. You can follow like different curricula and get interested in what triggers most your interest. And for me, it was a great chance to like get to know a country that before I actually didn't know that well. It was my first time, not just in China, but also in Asia. So it was definitely enriching. And yeah, everything at the beginning was a great discovery. And also the kind of experience that probably you realize how great it was maybe when it's over, because it's then that you can really understand how much you learned from it, and put everything into perspective, and really see your progress that you made in a year in a totally different country. And
so, are there a lot of Europeans in the program, or Italians, or were you just one of few that do this kind of thing?
Yeah, so that's the greatest thing about the Yanching Academy, the specialty of this program, that it's basically like from my cohort, we were 150 students and probably coming from more than 60 or 70 countries. So, I mean, not only did we get to live in China and adapt to China, obviously, but also to understand each other like cultures and background. And I think probably that was the most interesting thing about this unique program.
So after that, you went back to kind of northern Italy, Milan. I know you're from kind of the Torino area, which is where they had the Winter Olympics not too long ago, right? From Milan, now you're in Rome. Tell us why you're in Rome.
Yeah, so that was something that the Wi-Fi connection is not working really now. Hopefully it will get better.
This is like the Italian stimulus. That's why the Italian stimulus is going to target digital infrastructure. See?
Exactly. We really need a
clear example of why that money is being spent. They're debating that right now in Parliament, right?
Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah.
Yes.
And
okay.
Yeah, a lot of money will actually go into like digital infrastructure. So that should be a good news for us.
That's a perfectly timed joke about Italian infrastructure. All right. Anyway, so why are you in Rome? Why are you in Rome?
I'm currently working at the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'm contributing to the organization of the G20 that will be hosted this year by Italy. So it will be, I think, a very crucial year for a G20. So I'm very excited to be part of the organization, and hopefully like it will stimulate some important discussions for the future and for future challenges.
That's awesome. I did not know. I'd forgotten that the G20 was going to be hosted by Italy. So it's really great that you're part of organizing it. I look forward to seeing that happen later this year. And do you know, is it gonna? We're gonna try to have it in person. That's the idea in Italy.
Yeah. So I really hope so. For now, we are expecting to have it in person, but we don't know yet. It will depend obviously on like the evolution of the pandemic, but we remain optimistic. Also, the good news is that yesterday was the first day where a few Italian regions got out of the red zone. So like during the red zone, like restaurants and bars were closed and many other facilities and such. So it's already a tiny progress for now. So we remain optimistic.
Well, so I know you're busy doing that part-time, but you're also, working with us on the Macro Polo team. And I don't know if you expected, what this thing was going to turn into. And but we ended up creating a show. So let's talk a little bit about the show, about Coffee and World. The basic idea there is we wanted to do something that we thought was going to be kind of away from the daily noise. There's a lot of, noise every day, 24-hour news cycles, and everyone's, there's a lot of TV shows and punditry. So we wanted to get away from that. We wanted to create something that was, global affairs oriented, not necessarily China centric at all, but really something that we thought would capture some trends and issues that were perhaps not dominating headlines, but we think actually, have serious global implications. China's obviously involved, and we're going to get to the first, our pilot soon. China's obviously involved because it's huge, just like the United States. But the idea is to kind of think through sort of, broader trends, and to hopefully offer something that's that will both engage the sort of the casually informed observer and also those who are seriously, wonks, so to speak, that are really into global affairs. I don't know, Sophia, how would you describe the show in like one or two sentences?
Yeah, in my opinion, is like basically instead of reading an academic paper, you could watch the show because it would be more engaging. And yeah, as Damien said, it's not just about the news, but obviously about some relevant topics, global topics. And yeah, and related to what you said earlier, I think they even invented a word for this fact of being bombarded with information, and it's infodemic. So we came out with this show idea precisely to fight against a little bit against this infodemic. That's even the way in which Damien and I got to meet each other virtually. It happened on LinkedIn. And yeah, it was during the Italian lockdown. Obviously in Italy, it was a very strict lockdown. And I personally felt a little bit, just like many, I guess, overwhelmed by the situation, the fact of being stuck at home, especially at a time in which I think it was crucial for people of my age to kind of develop their professional career and such. I had plans to move, and all of a sudden I found myself stuck at home. So and also receiving all this information constantly. And I realized that the first thing that I had to do probably to feel a little bit better in that situation was to take the time to analyze information. And yeah, and I started doing that for myself, and in a way that connected me to Damien, and that helped to come up with this whole idea of the show.
Well, so there's the concept there, but I mean, what did you think of executing it? Because it was all done remotely. We were obviously in several time zones apart. And by the way, for those who are curious, the entire show was shot on the iPhone 12 Pro for the both of us, which turns out to be an extremely powerful tool. So we would highly recommend doing something like that if you were thinking about it. But I don't know, how did you find that whole process of trying to create something from scratch remotely?
Yeah, well, it was definitely challenging, but for me, it was also like a great way to feel like I was traveling at a time in which I couldn't. Like it was a window on the outside world. The fact that we would have this regular discussion between, like, you know, previously it was Milan with Chicago, now it's Rome with Chicago, but it gave me the impression of being able to travel. And yeah, I think that, like, given these constraints, it was definitely challenging, but we made it. I mean, we're here, we're doing this live because
we made it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully the world is slow. I know that things are not going well in some parts of the world, but you know, there are hopeful signs in other parts of the world. So we'll see how 2021 shakes out. But and also, just lastly, you know, as the name suggests, Coffee and World. You know, obviously coffee is one of the most well-known, and yeah, we've all got our coffees, and I think you got a little bit of wine because it's
yeah, I do.
it's 8 p.m. in Italy, so it's happy hour time in Italy. But you know, coffee is obviously a very well-recognized global commodity. It's one of the most popular commodities, but it's also because I think, you know, you're Italian and I'm really into coffee, so it just made a lot of sense to call it Coffee and World, and it kind of jives with the sensibility of the show, which is, you know, drinking coffee and talking about something that we think is serious, but also in a fairly engaging and, you know, informal way. So that's the basic idea behind it.
Plus, it perfectly shows like the different approaches that people have to coffee. For instance, like one of Coffee and World is divided into two different formats. We have espresso shots, and basically it's because in Italy we have this short espressos on the way, so it's like a shot and then you run to work or wherever you want. While in the States, like you usually have bigger coffee cups, and so Damien will do
a pour over.
A pour over, which I didn't know what it was before. So it was so interesting to actually even discover that part.
So you guys are all going to see that. We don't want to give too much away just yet for the show, but we will say that, like Sophia said, it's two different segments. You know, one is a bit kind of more in depth. One is a bit more fast, as the name suggests, espresso shots. So you can kind of, it's more digestible. We wanted to do two different formats, and the two kind of topics, the two themes we're focused on will be CRISPR, gene editing, and it sounds very serious, and it is. I personally think this is a really underlooked, underexamined technology that really was taking off over the last decade. That people were taken by a lot of the other technologies that were around, whether it's software, apps, artificial intelligence, but something like gene editing and CRISPR was really taking off around that time as well. And so that's going to be one of the segments, and then Sophia, your segment is going to be on
trash trade, or I should say, drum roll, trash trade. And I'm laughing, but if you watch the show, you'll understand why I'm laughing. And yeah, I think maybe trash doesn't seem like a very sexy topic, but I think it is very important. It has also some profound repercussions internationally. And just a tiny spoiler, we tend to think that if things get if things are set for recycling, they will actually be recycled. But that doesn't happen all the time. And until 2018, China was helping developed countries to actually process recycling, and then this system was appended. And from then on, it became a little messy. And so if you want to know what happens, obviously you'll have to watch the show.
Yeah, and it truly is a global trade, right? It's a global business. So watch the segment. So the show, the pilot episode, we're calling it, that's going to drop in a couple days. So we'll send that around, but also you can find it on YouTube and on Macro Polo's website and so on. But before I let you go, Sophia, because I know it's kind of late there, I couldn't end the live conversation without doing a little bit of Italy and China comparisons, just because I've got you here. And I always thought there were some interesting parallels, and there's always a debate. So the first debate is, basically, I think you've heard it, maybe you haven't, but it's a debate over who actually created pasta or noodles.
Oh God, I know.
Did Marco Polo bring it to China, or the other way around? Is there?
Very, very controversial, but I think that if I said that was China to invent noodles, I wouldn't find a restaurant in Italy serving me food anymore. So I think I'll go with Italy on that one.
Does the Italian government have a official position on the origin of noodles?
No clue, but I think it would really touch a matter like very dear to Italians. So I don't think it would ever make a statement saying that it wasn't invented.
It's really a very sensitive area that we go away from. All right, a few other quick questions. Since you're in Rome and you're also in Beijing, so I got to ask you, the Vatican or the Forbidden City?
Oof, that's a tough one. I think I would go with the Forbidden City because I love Chinese imperial architecture externally, but I would still want probably the church opulence for the interior design. So a mix of both. Like,
well, you don't have the Sistine Chapel in the Forbidden City, so I guess you at least you get the Michelangelo.
No, precisely. If I could mix the both, like Forbidden City from the outside and then like the Sistine Chapel inside, that would be a perfect match.
Well, that'd be an interesting fusion.
Yeah.
Western Catholicism, religion stuff, and then Chinese Forbidden City. That's quite the fusion. Okay, one last quick Italy-China comparison, I guess. Going back history, because obviously two very old, long cultures and former empire, right? So Julius Caesar or the Qing Emperor? Do you have who was more ruthless? Would you say?
The question here is more about is between who unified China and who extended the Roman borders and actually created an empire. And maybe I would go with the Qin Emperor because China is still unified while the Roman Empire doesn't exist right now anymore.
But who do you think was more ruthless as a ruler, as an emperor, I guess?
For what I know, Julius Caesar was super ruthless. What he did, for instance, in Gauls was terrible. And it's interesting how history is portrayed in Europe, because when we study Julius Caesar's life in Italy, we tend to consider him one of the founding fathers of Italy in a way, or we definitely recognize him big credits, and he deserves it. But at the same time, we tend to neglect the fact that what he did in few countries like Gauls, for instance, was compared to a genocide. And so I would go.
Well, I think all those guys back then were basically pretty ruthless compared to obviously long history back then. We could talk about this forever, but I'm well aware of it's late there in Rome. But I just wanted to thank you for your time, and also we're excited about the launch of Coffee and World. And like I said, it's going to drop in a couple of days, and we certainly would welcome any feedback from our audience. That's the best way to make us think about what you liked, what you didn't like, and we're always open to suggestions. You can send notes to Sophia and I individually, or you can send comments to info@macropolo.org. So thank you so much, and we look forward to launching the show, and we've got a really interesting season planned. So
I hope you will enjoy it.
Yes. All right. All right. Thank you, Sophia.
Have a good day and have a good evening for those of you who are on this side of the planet.
Yes.
Bye
Ciao.
bye.